when you come to something like the Spice Girls, the manager, I went out for dinner with the manager and he said, so tell me what you want. And I was like, what do you mean? He said,
What you really, really want?
What do you want to work? Tell me what you want to work. What does the industry need? And I said, well, I've got this amazing boy band called Take That. We all know them. They're having huge success. I want a girl group that is the real deal. As exciting as Take That, but taking it to the next step. Because there's some amazing girl groups around, but I want personalities, I want characters, as well as girls that can really deliver. And we had this whole conversation over dinner, and then he rings me 6 weeks later. Simon Fuller's his name, and he rings me and he says, I found them.
The Businessmen, sponsored by BT Business. Hello there, Ben Shephard here, still a lone wolf as my partner in crime is sunning himself. Joel Dommett is still over there dodging snakes in the Australian jungle. Nothing stops, though, when it comes to business. There's still tons to do and learn. Now, before we go any further, just a bit of housekeeping at the top of the show. Do follow us wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe on YouTube. In today's episode, I'm very excited because we have the amazing Nicki Chapman coming in. She is a powerhouse in the world of public relations, shaped the careers of the likes of the Spice Girls, Take That, Kylie Minogue, Amy Winehouse, to name a few. She's an expert in making brands successful. She's going to do everything she can to help us make our business fly. You've got a son that's wild.
Yep.
But you know what is wild?
What?
A small business in the UK gets hit by a cyber attack every 19 seconds.
That is so much. That's almost 20.
Yeah, most people, of course, don't even see it coming. That's why BT Business is stepping in, because cybercrime isn't just a big business problem anymore.
So our new business needs a cybersecurity plan, Ben.
What it needs is BT's complete cloud secure, gives you enterprise-level protection tailored to your business size, maybe even just like ours.
Oh, well, we really do need help, don't we?
We need the security awareness training. It helps your team spot threats before they become disasters. And you know what? It must be so frustrating when you got your product right, only for it to fail because you've had a cybersecurity fail.
We will not let this happen.
No. So don't wait for a breach to take action. Head to business.bt.com or search BT Business Cybersecurity.
Because cybersecurity is everyone's business.
Breach, brother.
Breach.
Nicki, thank you so much for joining me on The Businessmen.
You're welcome.
It's an absolute thrill to have you here in the studio. We've known each other for many years.
We have.
In various guises.
Yeah.
All from when you were basically on telly rather than your previous life when you were sort of certainly behind the scenes but pulling strings in the world of PR, and particularly PR in the music industry in the 90s.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was such an exciting time. It wasn't something I knew I was going to do, and I just sort of fell into the job. And I took the most glamorous job, Ben.
Which was?
In promotion.
Yes.
So a record company, if you like, is made up of many parts, like a giant jigsaw. A&R that signs it, marketing, sales, but promotion is the final piece of the jigsaw. And if you don't get that right, the rest falls apart. So highly pressurized, but also great fun.
Because you're the ones that are front and center at trying to sell the products that's been worked on really hard.
Exactly that.
So how would you, so you start off in promotions. What were your first sort of forays in that world?
So I started off as the secretary, the assistant in the promotion department. So you had press and you had promotion. And promotion was made up of TV and radio.
Mm-hmm.
And so I supported the people there. And they were called pluggers.
Yes. Still called pluggers?
I think so,
they're
yeah.
still called pluggers.
I mean, if you want to be posh, we go publicist.
Okay.
But I was a plugger.
Old school plugger.
Always a plugger. and I sort of gravitated towards TV. So my job when I got promoted from being the assistant was to get my acts on television, to get them the right amount of exposure. Because if you're an established artist, you need everybody to know that your new album is out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a brand new artist, you need to be broken. And that's where I found my forte, breaking new artists.
Breaking. So who were some of the artists that you were breaking in the 90s?
So the younger artists coming through would have been, oh my God, it makes it sound like I'm just name dropping now, doesn't it?
It was your job. You're allowed.
Okay, all right. Spice Girls.
You breaking the Spice Girls?
Yeah. Take That. Charlotte Church. S Club. M People. I worked Kylie, but she was already established. So lots of new artists coming through. And then I also worked the more established and heritage acts. I worked David Bowie and Prince and Phil Collins, Van Morrison, Annie Lennox. It was an exciting time, and I love breaking new artists.
I bet.
When you come to something like the Spice Girls, the manager, I went out for dinner with the manager and he said, so tell me what you want. And I was like, what do you mean? He said,
What you really, really want?
What do you want to work? Tell me what you want to work. What does the industry need? And I said, well, I've got this amazing boy band called Take That. We all know them. They're having huge success. I want a girl group that is the real deal. As exciting as Take That, but taking it to the next step. Because there's some amazing girl groups around, but I want personalities, I want characters, as well as girls that can really deliver. And we had this whole conversation over dinner, and then he rings me 6 weeks later. Simon Fuller's his name, and he rings me and he says, I found them. And I go, who? And he goes, the girl group. And I was like, what girl group? And he went, when we had the dinner. And I went, oh my God, yeah. And that was the difference. He went off and did it. I didn't.
He went off. But not only did he do it, I mean, he smashed it. Amongst what was achieved by the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
Did you know when you first met them, Nicki, that there was something special? What did they tap into that thing that you had spoken to Simon about at that dinner?
What happened was they'd already been put together by somebody else, and they'd left him. They'd walked out, and they went to Simon, or Simon found them, and they came into the record label, and I was like this. You know, I had Take That. I had such a great roster at the time. And I'm like, all right, come on then, you know, impress me. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit cynical.
Were you?
They came in on rollerblades, took over the whole room, got up on the, table. One was doing backflips. They were incredible. And they sang to me. And that was the difference.
Was it?
It wasn't just the visual. It wasn't just this huge power that came through the room. They actually had the talent. And Jerry said to me, we're not going to do this. If we work with you, we're not going to get up early. We're not going to be doing the big breakfast at whatever time in the morning. And we don't want to do this. And I turned around and I said to her, you do what you're good at. I'll do what I'm good at. And we're always going to get along. And she went, we like you. Anyway, they left the record label and they went outside and they were talking to Simon and they said, we don't want to sign to RCA, but we really want to work with Nicki. And Simon said, well, you're lucky because Nicki's leaving RCA and she's going independent, so she can work and act from any label. That's how it works.
Yeah.
She can work you. So when I left the record label with my boss, Nick, and we had this company called Brilliant, the first 3 acts we had were Take That, Annie Lennox, and an unknown act called the Spice Girls.
If you were to describe in one word PR in the 90s from the music perspective, could you do it? What would the word be?
Oh, what a great question. And no, I can't. I would say exciting, but equally it was a necessity.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have social media. When I went back and day-to-day managed the girls when they did their last tour together as a 5-piece, I had to register the Spice Girls name because we didn't have it the first time round. It's hard to believe now. But, the Spice Girls were having a hit 25 years ago. Spice Girls, or Spice, was a porn site. We didn't even have the name. I had to go back years later and register it because there wasn't social media.
Did you have to negotiate with the owners of Spice, the porn site, for...
We changed the girl's name. It was Spice.
They were originally called Spice?
They were originally called Spice. They had to change it to Spice Girls because there was a rapper. And then when I actually registered the name, I had to register the Spice Girls.
Because of this porn site?
I don't know if it's still going. Someone's going to look it up, aren't they?
They will be looking up right now.
Yes, they are, yeah.
It's amazing the nuances of that. One of the things we're going through with our business, I'll come on to a bit, is the name. And we've had a couple of names that we've been kicking down we really like. And then you go to see it and it's already something. It's already established somewhere else. And the advent of the internet has allowed us to look at those things really quickly now and actually rule things out. But back then, that wasn't the case, was it? Early 90s.
No.
So let's draw this back then to PR in its purest sense, its most basic sense. How would you describe it?
PR is the opportunity to get as much of the right exposure for your product as you can. And when I say product, that sounds really clinical, but it could be a person, it could be a TV show, it could be a radio show, it could be a moisturiser.
So it's getting the right exposure.
The right exposure to the right audience and expanding that as well.
And how crucial is PR then if you are building a brand and ideally building a successful brand?
Start with the brand first and then the PR will follow.
Right, okay. So the bit that you start, you have to get that bit right.
You've got to get that right. You're leading it. You're absolutely leading it. So, obviously I specialise. I used to do West End shows and events and the Brits I did the PR for. So lots of different things. But you start off with the product. And the product sounds awful, isn't it? Can't think of another word, though.
As a phrase for it. Yeah. But I get what you're saying.
It's the product. That's what it is. And then you build the PR around it, but it has to dictate it. Yes, there's going to be bands years ago where the PR came first and the talent came second. It's not going to live very long.
No, they get found out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember that from, your past sort of areas.
Yeah, for sure. You'd have big PR about somebody rather than they'd come in, they'd be the next big thing, and they'd have a one album, but it was the first of a 5-album deal, and then it'd be gone. Within a few weeks.
I was lucky. I was really, really lucky. And what happens is when you work in PR and you have success, it breeds success.
Yes.
People then come to you.
Yeah. So how would you describe the difference between PR and marketing?
Marketing is marketing the product, looking at the artwork, what goes into it, the label copy, the legalities, all of that. I didn't do any of that. I was given the finished product, and that's the difference with PR. But, back in the day, if you worked at a record company, the marketing would be the video, the artwork. That's what marketing was for the music industry. It's probably changed a lot now, but probably the core values are the same. And then you would give me the finished product. So you would work with your marketing director, creative director, coming up with a whole visual plan. You might be making an advert. That wouldn't come under me.
Right.
So everything would come under marketing. In that respect, I would take the finished product.
And of course, I still like that brilliant thing that you said to Jerry in that first meeting with the Spice Girls. You do what you're brilliant at. Let me do what I do, and we'll always get on.
Yeah.
And look at the success that you were able to make of it.
And can I just say they were a joy? I mean, there was a girl, you're talking about not making it, there was another girl who was in the band.
There was a 6th member.
There was 5 members and she left. I think she went to university. And so she was replaced by Emma Bunton.
That's right.
So can you imagine being that lady or that girl at the time who walked away?
It's like the Beatles had and there was a lad in the year below us at school who was in a band at university. He went to Leeds, and they tried for years and years and years, and eventually went, lads, I'm going to have to leave because I've got to go and get a job. Went off and started doing a job. The next 6 months or so, they got a record contract. That band's called the Kaiser Chiefs.
Ooh. I mean, you don't want to live with regrets, but wow.
But there are those sliding door moments as well, Nicki, aren't there? So there will have been, and one of the things that's become really apparent, the really fantastic business people or PR people that we've been meeting, talking about the mistakes that you make and actually how important those mistakes are for successes.
Absolutely.
What were some of the campaigns? Were there campaigns that you worked on that didn't work, and you see now why they didn't work?
A lot of it is luck,
right?
Hitting stuff at the right time. And obviously things can go wrong. You can put out a single. For example, the Kylie album was called The Impossible Princess. And if my memory serves me right, it was released around the time Princess Diana was killed. So, that you can't foresee that. No. I mean, it's such a tragedy anyway.
Of course.
But all the media are going to be super sensitive about releasing anything with an album like that. They're not going to want to promote or talk about an album with a name like that.
No, of course. So there are factors that are beyond your control.
Totally.
Which you can't necessarily see happening, and you have to be agile and nimble to those things.
Yeah, it happens. Take That was knocked off number 1 by Mr. Blobby.
Yes.
I mean, there we go. And there's going to be loads of people listening going, what's Mr. Blobby? But at the time, it was devastating.
There was a lot of us at the time saying, what is Mr. Blobby?
And then also, you've got to think of your conduct. You could be gearing up to release something, and then something happens. Like you fall over in the press. That's the least of your worries. But do you know what I mean? Like, artists can be unpredictable.
Yes.
And then that can and we see that in today's world. And I'm not going to give examples, but we all know, there'll be massive shows. It could be Strictly, it could be something else. And a media story breaks and everything gets a bit shaky.
Do you think...
So behave yourself.
Yeah. Joel's not here. He's in the jungle. Do you think... There is a phrase, isn't there? And I don't know. I'm putting this to you, sort of in a devil's advocate type way, because of your experience. But there was always this phrase that there's no such thing as bad PR.
I totally disagree with that.
I've always struggled with it. But there are people that would turn around and go, look, at the moment in the world we live in, attention and focus is everything. That's key. That's actually all you want.
I think God bless Louis Walsh, and he'll have a view on this, but I think Louis likes that term. There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yes.
For me, there is. And at the end of the day, it's the welfare. Again, I'm going to go back to music because that was what I did, and West End shows and stuff like that. But you've got the welfare of the person. So, if you make the front cover of, if you go back in the day, the News of the World or something, the front cover of the News of the World is brilliant if you've just won X Factor or Pop Idol, which was a show that I was a judge on. Let's take Pop Idol as an example. Amazing. If they're raking up your family's history, your parents, your brother, your sister, that isn't great. It's not great for anybody. Nobody wins apart from perhaps they sell a few more papers. And I like to think that the world has changed, but that is awful. And that publicity I do not agree with. And people nowadays also overshare, and if you overshare, it's going to come back to bite you.
Do you remember a campaign or a bit of PR that managed to spiral in a really positive way and was much bigger than you'd ever expected it to be? Was there a moment with any of your artists that kind of went, we never thought, that was serendipitously land in a really positive way?
I mean, I'm going to go back to the Spice Girls, and I worked so many different artists, but because of what they represented and what they believed in and that message, which was genuine. That wasn't, a load of people in a record company in a boardroom going, okay, what's the key message here, guys? Okay, that's brilliant. Girl power, we'll do it. It wasn't like that at all. It was totally organic and it came from them. I think if you want a message, it'd be that, because we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
And it really resonates. And it was groundbreaking at the time. And there's a whole generation of young girls and young boys, and, be who you want to be kind, look after each other, be transparent, and girl power. And girl power really goes for it. It's all about equality, isn't it? And being out there and doing what you want to do and not being judged. And I think actually, you've just sprung that question on me, but I would say out of all my artists, because I looked after so many, that probably is lasting.
It still resonates, doesn't it? You're absolutely right, because if that came about in the mid to late 90s, those girls got together and then were launched, that is still quoted regularly in the media to this day by new young artists, by young actresses, by young people anywhere.
I worked in the music industry. I started in the late 80s, through the 90s. I saw it firsthand.
So what I want to do is I want to talk you through a little bit through mine and Joel's business idea.
Pitch it to me.
Well, we're pitching it to you and to get your sense about it, and also to get some advice, because advice is what we're all about. And what I've come to understand, and what Joel and I have talked about a lot, is the value of a great skincare routine doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't have to be really faffy. We don't like fuss. We don't like tons of potions. We don't like all the really complicated bits and pieces. We just want something that's quick, that's simple, that's efficient, and that's effective. That means that when we sort ourselves out in the morning or in the evening, when we get up the next day, we're ready to go and we can go about our business and we can go about our jobs, being the best person we can at work, being the best person we can at home, being the best dads that we can be as well. I mean, what does Dave do? What's his routine? Your partner?
My husband.
Yeah.
He's really good actually with his skin, but and he does use SPF. I was about to say SPF, because I didn't use SPF.
You didn't?
Until recently. Not in my moisturisers. This year, it's my first year that I always put suntan lotion on, but I didn't have it in my moisturiser.
So, but he's always used SPF. He's always been.
He's always had it in the products that he uses, actually, yeah. I don't think he's been so conscious of that, but it is in the product that he uses. And he's been using moisturiser for, I would say, quite a few years, yeah.
He looks after Iron Maiden. His job. I mean, that's a hardcore heavy metal rock band.
Yeah.
Do we think the lads from Iron Maiden have good skincare routines,
I
Nicki?
think they do. They all look after themselves.
I mean, Bruce is in amazing shape.
If I looked at their wash bags, I reckon they do use moisturiser,
Well, I tell you what, the first thing we'll do once we get the range up and running, we will make sure the Iron Maiden boys have a complete set. They can be sponsored by Joel and I. We'll be on the tour plane with them.
I love that.
Just got to look after Eddie as well. I'm not sure. Maybe his skin's gone.
Eddie might need something else, yeah.
If you don't know who Eddie is compared to Iron Maiden, do look him up, because he is their... what was it? Is he their mascot? They call him a mascot?
Yeah, he's like the face of Iron Maiden, isn't he? And he's been with them. Very clever. You're talking about marketing. Very clever, because Eddie hasn't aged, and there's different sort of forms of Eddie. But if you've mentioned a band who have hero products around Iron Maiden. So Iron Maiden are super successful and have sold so many millions of albums over the years, and even more, touring and stuff. They're huge touring every single year. But what they have done is they have some hero products around Iron Maiden, and they have a beer called Trooper.
Right, which is one of their big singles, right?
One of the
big
most
songs.
famous, yeah. So if you go and buy an Iron Maiden beer, it doesn't say Iron Maiden. It says Trooper, and it's got Eddie on the front. It doesn't actually have their image on the front. It's designed by Iron Maiden, and it's brewed by one of the best breweries in the country, Robinson's. So it has that pedigree. But Trooper beer, since it's been launched, has sold something like 46 million bottles.
Wow.
Now, years ago, they were approached to say, can we put out a wine? Can we put out a beer?
Yeah,
Put your face on it. And the band were like, absolutely not. And Bruce is fanatical. If he's going to do anything, the rest
Bruce
of the
Dickinson,
band,
the lead singer.
Bruce Dickinson. But all the band are like this. But Bruce in particular, he met the master brewer at Robinson's and said, okay, if we're going to do a beer, it's got to be right. And Robinson said, equally, if we do a beer, we don't just want Iron Maiden fans buying it. We want it sort of much broader than that. And when he sat down, Bruce had to audition. So he didn't audition to be an Iron Maiden, but he had to audition in front of the master brewer about a beer that they had this idea on. And at the end of the day, the master brewer said, my goodness, you really know your stuff. Because he was doing blind tasting, saying, no, that's a this and that's a that and that.
Amazing.
So it has to be the best possible product. And I'm using this as an example for the two of you.
Yes, of course.
It has to have authenticity. It's got to be transparent. You have to totally believe in it, but you have to buy into it because it's yours.
Yes.
So with Maiden, they have this Trooper beer, and they've now got different beers. They've got 7 different varieties around the rest of the world. It's stocked in over 40 countries around the world.
Wow.
They had a campaign going where Iron Maiden fans could say if it was in their local supermarket or not, really bought into it. So the Iron Maiden community bought into it, but it has to stand up for them, but it's also got to stand up to anybody else who likes Trooper beer. And that's what you've got to do. You've got like 1.5 million Instagram followers between you, something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't have it on Facebook and stuff, but that's a lot. But you don't just want that to be your core market.
No.
You want to broaden it much wider.
That's a really good point, isn't it? Because the product and the brand that we want to create, we don't just want to be for people that follow us necessarily. We want it to be people who are looking for a really fantastic skincare product, and this is the one that they go for.
Exactly.
They might not even know that Joel and I helped create it.
Yeah, you're a good start. You're not bad looking, either of you. You could work on that a little bit more. But you want the product, like Maiden did with Trooper, and being a hero product, you want that. It's so important, and you have to be authentic.
And it's got and that beer now exists away from the band. There'll be people, I'm sure,
don't even know it's part of Iron Maiden,
but just love the taste of this Trooper beer.
Exactly, millions and millions of bottles.
46 million.
Because it tastes great, but it is what it is. It's a bottle of beer. It's nothing more. The price point reflects that.
Yeah.
It's a great bottle of beer.
Maybe me and Joel need to do beer as well. We'll come on to the beer.
Okay, we'll try that.
So look, let's talk PR then. And the PR with our new business. What would be, because that community that you've talked about with Iron Maiden that's been so fundamental to the launch and the success of Trooper Beer is exactly what we're looking to do with the podcast, with the skincare brand. We want to create a community of men and boys and young men who are interested in coming on this journey with us. We want them to help guide us as to what sort of products it is they're looking for. What are the stuff that they think they're not being served? What's the price point going to be? What are the important factors that are going to lead them to the shops to go, yes, that's exactly what I'm interested in using? And we want that community to build. So then you have advocates for the business when eventually we come to market. So what would be your PR suggestions in terms of us building that community and building the sort of the awareness of what we're doing with the businessmen and what we're going to do with this skincare brand?
I think it'd be good to have PR, independent PR, as well as social media. Social media will be so important for you.
That's certainly where we are at the minute.
Yeah,
because
you're doing a survey, aren't you?
Yes.
Asking people, which is a great way because also there's ownership there.
It is a great way. But what we're struggling with, though, Nicki, is getting men to actually commit to doing the survey. We actually thought that, they'd love to. You suddenly realise actually men can be quite reticent to click online and do surveys.
Give them an incentive. Give them an incentive. Say, we're going to pick 50 people who are going to, if you do the survey, we're going to pick 50 people and we're going to send you a goodie bag to say thank you. In that goodie bag are going to be some of our competitors. So as a sideline, we want you to rate what you like and you don't like on the packaging, on the product. I mean, you can't do it over a week because anyone dealing with skincare, I don't know what it is, but it's probably going to be, 12 weeks before you see any results. So it depends on your timeline. But you could do something like that. But make it exciting because everybody's busy. And why should they help you? You guys have got successful businesses. You're on TV. Can't get you off TV. Give some of us a chance. Make people feel like they are part of that journey. And it's a great way of doing it. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a brilliant way of doing it, but you've got to get people engaged.
Yes.
And also people will look at you two and go, they don't need it. Look at them. They're gorgeous. You're not going to say yes, but you are, and so's Joel. Less so, Joel. Sorry, Joel. No, I'm joking.
No, say that again.
You're gorgeous. So, if, you want people to want to try a product, not buy into it, because that's too much of a gimmick. They're going to want to improve the way they live their life without being preachy.
What are your top 3 don'ts when it comes to PR, Nicki?
The way you conduct yourself is huge. So although I'm not going to say don't, I'm going to turn it into a do.
Right, okay.
Because make sure that you represent your product, the way you live your life and everything, because that's what you're putting up there. You're asking people to pay money. Turning on the TV is easy. Actually asking someone to go into a supermarket and buying your product is something else. Don't put something out there that you're not proud of. Don't put something out there that you haven't tried. And if you've got to try it, you've got to try it for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, you're probably trying it now and you're not allowed to tell us. There you go. But, you'll be dealing with all, the dermatologists and all the experts and working out where it comes from. There's a brilliant brand called Beauty Pie.
Yes.
And the lady that's behind that lost her makeup bag in an airport and had to go and buy. And when she tried to replace all her products, it came to hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And then when she did her research, she realised that all those ingredients and everything that she was paying a lot of money for, she could actually produce at a fraction of the price. And she's made it accessible. And that is such a PR success story because the product stands up. She does makeup, she does candles, she does moisturisers. She is brilliant, the lady behind Beauty Pie. That's the sort of thing you've got to really go for. If you're going to dip your toe into this water and it's a competitive market, you really have to believe it. And you have got to live it. So don't think, oh, okay, well, I've got time to do this and I've got a bit of time to do that. Bruce Dickinson makes time for Trooper beer and the wine and all the other products that come out. You too have to do the same if you're going to do it, do it properly.
We can't dip our toe in, can we?
And you never get a second chance to make a good impression.
Yes. So remember that.
You don't want to launch it twice.
Nicki, this has been fabulous. We have a section of our boardroom on the website for our Patreon followers. It's free Patreon at the moment. We'd love you to sign up and join, and then you can put in questions for the podcast. So I'm going to share some of our Patreon questions with you, if I may.
Of course.
You've been brilliant. It's been so fascinating listening to you. Katie said, if you could do PR for any artist today, who would you want to do it for and why?
Ray.
Isn't she amazing?
Amazing. She doesn't need PR. She's brilliant. And what I love about her is, and she had a really rough start as well. She left her record label. She wanted to go one direction. They wanted to go in the other. She knows her mind. She's got her family around her. And when I say family, I mean in a good way. Sometimes family isn't always the best of things, but it's worked for her. But she is such a talent. Good question. Thank you.
That was from Katie. This one's from Kerry.
Come on, Kerry.
Kerry says, where do I start putting together a PR strategy?
What for, though?
So she hasn't said what the business is, but I think if you were to say
an entrepreneur
of some sort, got an idea for a side hustle or is starting to do stuff, what would be the key pointers when you're thinking PR and strategy?
It's working out your unique selling point, USP, as people always say, but that's the truth. Why is your product better? Why is your product different from everybody else's? It's got to come from passion. I think that's really true. We live in a world where people want to know where it's come from, how it's made, is it great for the environment? All these things which you're going to be coming up with, and obviously, hopefully having the right answers too. That's the one thing you've got to get clear in your head before you take the next step.
To know the why.
Why are you doing it? Why is it different? Why is it better? Why have you got a gap in the market that someone hasn't seen? Think about it.
And then when you start thinking about where you're going to start trying to place what it is that you're selling.
Mhm.
Is there a strategy around that?
It's so broad now with social media. You know, I love Instagram because it's such a happy place, and Facebook is enormous, absolutely enormous. You know, work out where your market's going to be. I haven't even mentioned TikTok, and that, you know, TikTok shop is huge.
It's massive, isn't it?
So work it out.
Yeah,
Know your
understand.
strengths.
Yeah, okay. Tony says, where do
Also,
I...
it doesn't cost you any money.
Oh, yeah, going social media.
Yeah.
Necessarily, you can plan the strategy yourself. I'm going to come on to costs for PR as well. Actually, as Tony sort of says this, where do I find a great PR for my small business?
Depends what your business is. You know, there's if you're in music and entertainment, there's going to be people. If it's a product, there will be PR that specializes. If it's medical, there's medical PR. You need to find out what the PR companies are. And quite a good way of doing that is looking at campaigns of products and things and finding out who did their PR.
So if you like a campaign...
Exactly, try and work it out from that. But, you know, you might be talking big bucks. L'Oreal, you know, what's their marketing strategy and how much do they spend a year? It's going to be millions, isn't it? You might find a small PR company that will do it for $5,000. So you've got to work out what the product is, but there will be a PR for that area. And also they will tell you what else is in the market, because think of competition.
Yes, and that's really important.
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't go for a PR necessarily that had a similar product to the one I was launching.
Right.
For you, probably yes, because they need to know that market better than anybody.
But depending on what the
Depending
business
on what
that
it
you're,
is,
the
yeah.
area that you're in. Okay. Costs.
Because they might not do such a good job on you because they're paying you more money. Work it
that's
out.
interesting.
Ask the questions.
Yeah. Let's talk costs then. How much should we be spending on PR, Nicki?
Your market is saturated. Now, I would say if you are a huge brand launching a brand new product, you are talking hundreds of thousands of pounds. Hundreds of thousands of pounds
Right.
is the truth. You know, if you're going to do it with what do Nike spend, you know, if they're launching something new,
Yeah.
it's going to be millions.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that.
No.
No. You went pale then when you said that. Genuinely went pale. But there's always, I hate the phrase, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And we're not going to skin any cats. But be creative. You don't have to spend that sort of money. The big brands would.
So what, can I ask, back in...
Here you go. Here's an example.
Good, yes.
Victoria Beckham.
Yeah,
Now, she's been around a long time.
she has.
I worked with her right at the very, very beginning, and I've also worked with David. But with her skincare range, the biggest advert is Victoria sitting in front of her phone, putting on her makeup and telling us about her daily routine. I love it.
Do you?
How many times can I watch her put on eyeliner? And
Every
each
time.
time I'm transfixed. So
Those sort of moments are brilliant. That's brilliant PR, right?
brilliant PR, and it's come from her.
And Joel and I can control that part of
Yeah.
it ourselves.
Yeah.
What would you say, Nicki? I mean, you're still very busy in the public eye. You still present TV shows. You're sort of lovely Mellow Magic show
Yeah, I love
on the
it.
radio. So you're still playing music. You're still doing all that sort of stuff. What would you say is the one skill from your PR world and experience that you still use to this day?
Well, I didn't use it on me. That's for sure. I did a show called Pop Stars and then Pop Idol, and it was
Yes.
the biggest show on television.
Girls Aloud. came out of
Oh,
it.
now come on. Let's get this right, shall we? And I want everyone
was-
to leave that in. So Pop Stars was
That was the Rivals,
Hearsay.
though, right? But it was Hearsay, of course it was.
Yeah. And
I
then
think it
Pop
was.
Idol was Will Young.
Oh, bless him, Will Young.
And
I lost a
then-
massive bet on that.
Did you?
Well,
you
with
thought it
my
was
wife.
Gareth.
And Will Blooming won.
Will
I've
what?
never forgiven him. There must be, though, Nicki, you must be able to appreciate that now. There must be some innate skill in who you are that you've learned over the years that is still really valuable to you today.
I think where, and thank you for saying that, that's really kind of you. I think where my strengths lie is in people. So I love people. I love talking to people. If I'm filming Escape to the Country, I am genuinely interested in them as well as the houses. And also, I find it very easy to keep eye contact, which not everybody does, and I appreciate that. But hopefully I can, when I'm interviewing people and looking after people when I'm on the road, I look after them as I did my artists.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I really took pride in the way I looked after my artists, and I hope that continues. And when I'm talking to people on Mellow Magic, that it's just me and them, and that they feel that they know who I am. So the Nicki that, if you might meet me in the street, is the same one behind the mic or in front of the camera. I hope that, and that sincerity, that transparency, and that I'm authentic.
Yeah. That's why you've been doing what you're doing for so long, Nicki, and long may that continue.
Well, bless you. Thank you. That's very kind.
This has been lovely. Thank you so much for spending the time talking to me on The Businessmen and sharing some insight for our Patreon followers as well. You're an absolute superstar. And at some point, we will be coming back to you to plumb the depths of your knowledge in order to sort of help us guide the PR for whatever it is we try and
Do you know what? Once I've
launch.
seen the finished product and I've tried it, because any product for a man should be able to be used on a woman, or anybody, we should say, for everybody. I would love to. I'd love to come back on and let's talk strategy.
Amazing. Thank you, Nicki.
Thank you. Give my love to Joel.
Yeah.
I'll take it personally. He's not here.
He's in the jungle. He's on kangaroo testicles or something like that. He's got his own cross to bear.
He's with the bugs.
The Businessmen, sponsored by BT Business. I don't know about you, but I love chatting with the brilliant Nicki Chapman. She is such a fountain of knowledge, at the top of her game for so long. And it's just got me really excited about getting into the nitty-gritty of bringing our brand out to you guys in the best way possible. Talk of which, I'm not sure we've mentioned it, but we have a survey. We would love you to complete it if you would, if you fancy it. There's one for men and there's one for those of you with men in your lives. We need you to tell us your current skincare routines, where the gaps and holes are in them and why you need us. The link is at the top of the show notes. So there's no excuse. Send it to your friends, your family, your neighbours, your frenemies, whoever. And whilst we're here, if you would like even more Businessmen content, and of course you do, then please go and join our free Patreon at patreon.com/thebusinessmen. You'll get some extra guest content. And as you know, there's lots we don't know, so maybe you can help us too. Don't forget, we'd love you to follow The Businessmen wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe on YouTube. The wonderful Joel Dommett is back from the jungle with me next week. We'll be reunited and hopefully you'll join us for that very emotional occasion. Until then, goodbye.